surely the Lord is in this place, for we're all connected, we're all one, and it's a reminder of all of these beautiful religions. They all have one common, God bless you, common denominator, and that is that we are all just one. So we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from that one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experiences, which we honor here today. So as Tom lights the first candle, we light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony, equilibrium, the natural way. The second candle that we light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law, which, by the way, they have 63 of them. Yeah. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. And of course, we light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universal religion of Baha'i. I love that word, Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle, of course, for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing and through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the last candle that we light are for those that are yet unaware of the power and the presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space that we're holding for them at this center, and for all other religions unnamed in this ceremony.
Unnamed religions have to wait a while.
Thank you, Tom. Oh, we do laugh a lot in here, and that's such a good thing. So last week, I dove into some pretty heavy waters about freedom and responsibility to see that we always have it. It's important. So today, I'm taking a deep breath and lightening the load. So I want to share with you a gentle story about a little white rabbit, a full moon, and the simple power of devotion. And this is from a book called The Zen Monkey and the Lotus Flower. So you ready for a story? Okay, settle in and cuddle. It's a once upon a time. Once upon a time, there was a little white rabbit named Luna who lived in a peaceful forest. Luna was not like other hares. The other hares slept in their burrow at sunset, but not Luna. Luna stayed awake to admire the full moon. She was fascinated by the beauty and purity of the moon and considered it her role model. Every month when the full moon appeared in the sky, Luna sat on a hill and just admired its beauty. She tried to be as pure and as beautiful as the moon. Luna led a simple, virtuous life. She shared her food with others, helped the old and ill animals in the forest, and lived in harmony with nature. One day, Luna saw the moon slowly getting darker. She watched with concern. The moon was covered by a dark cloud. Luna thought the moon was in danger and decided she must help. She jumped high in the air, hoping to reach the cloud and save the moon. But despite her efforts, she could not reach the cloud. Luna was disappointed, but she did not give up. Determined, night after night, she tried to jump as high as she could to reach the moon. She was so focused that she even forgot to eat and drink, and she sacrificed her sleep to help her precious moon. The other animals in the forest admired Luna's devotion and loyalty, but they were getting worried. They came together in an emergency forest meeting and decided they must find a way to help Luna. The best thing that they could think of was to build a huge ramp of leaves and branches to bring Luna closer to the moon. On the last full moon night, Luna jumped up the ranch and reached the dark cloud with a powerful push, and she dispersed the cloud, and the beautiful moon shone bright and clear again. Luna happily fell back on earth, exhausted but satisfied, and she fell asleep. Since then, if you look closely at a clear full moon, you can see the silhouette of a little rabbit on the moon. The animals in the forest will always remember the lesson Luna taught them of devotion, sacrifice. Luna was the little white rabbit who saved the moon. So why am I telling you a story about a rabbit and a full moon? For me, it's a beautiful reminder to never give up. It perfectly bridges what we talked about last week, our responsibility to ourselves and others. Last week I spoke about how important it is to reach out and help a neighbor. I felt I could show the joy of helping your neighbor through the teaching of the animals in the forest. They showed simple loyalty and devotion. The same truth, the same lessons as told by a rabbit. Luna shows us which means to be completely devoted. Despite difficulties, she did not let them deter her from her goal. We can learn about this devotion by showing passion and determination of our lives, no matter how unattainable our goals may be. Luna showed a willingness to sacrifice her well-being for something greater than she was. She reminds us of that true satisfaction for selfless service for the good of others. I saw something on Facebook day before yesterday. A little boy said to his mother that the lady that lives across the street, he doesn't see any lights. So the mother said, well, let's go across this, and this is a true story. Let's go across the street. The lady was old, 80 years old. Well, that's not old, but she was 80 years old, lived alone, had no family. So they went and knocked on the door, and this lady was in a winter coat because it was winter and she was cold, and she had no money to pay for electricity. So they went back home, and the little boy got his piggy bank, which had all his money in it, birthday money and Christmas money. And he said, Mom, I have to give this to the lady because she's cold and she doesn't have electricity. So the mother said, are you sure? He said, yeah. So he went across the street, and she goes, I can't take this money. He said, oh, you have to take it. You have to take it. And he gave her the money. Somehow the story got out, and the next morning when they woke up, the path to the lady's house was filled with piggy banks of all shapes and sizes. And it just goes to show that if we teach our youth right, They know what to do sometimes better than we do. It's such a beautiful, beautiful story of helping a neighbor. And like I said last week, it doesn't mean necessarily the person right next to you, but it means helping, where I had so much help this week with all of my neighbors, so it was a blessing. And Mahatma Gandhi says the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. What power of faith! Despite all obstacles, Luna firmly believed that she could save the moon. Her faith gave her strength to keep going and achieve goals. And here you see faith and strength are part of the 12 powers. So the 12 powers aren't a list that you have to memorize and know what color and what part of the body. It's how do you use them in your life. So her faith and her strength gave her the energy to keep achieving her goals. And we too can use our faith as a source of strength to navigate through difficult times and achieve our goals. Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, tells us, "You owe God your attention." You know how Myrtle was, for those of you who have studied her. You owe God your attention, and she was very serious about that. You owe the full measure of your faith, of your thought, of your service. You can gain all by quietly letting go of these outer appearances and laying hold of the sacred. That's powerful. That is so powerful. You owe God your attention. What does that mean to you? I mean, you don't have to answer it, but what does that mean to you? You owe your full measure of faith, right? Your thought and your service. And you can gain all by quietly letting go of these outer appearances and laying hold to the sacred. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, said, "Faith is not a passive hope, but a practical, active mental attitude of absolute certainty." Active. Remember, we were talking about that everything we do has activity to it. By practical, active. In other words, we have to have an active mental attitude. We just don't say these words and do nothing with them. We understand that we must somehow move through mind, through heart, through our physical body, active. We only achieve when we put energy forth. He also taught that faith is a creative force that operates directly through universal laws to shape our physical reality. I know for sure that rabbit had the quality of faith. Would you agree with that? Yeah, Luna certainly did. But what about Luna's community support? Did she ask for help? No. She could have, but she didn't. Here we see, just like we humans, we all have the ability to ask. We're much happier if we can come and help, but when we need something, how difficult is it to ask for help? It's not the easy thing to do, right? So Luna did not ask for help, and there's many of us that are like that. But luckily for Luna, and luckily for us in our lives, there's always people around us that care enough to help whether we want it or not. Sometimes like, okay, I have enough help, go away, But luckily Luna and the other animals in the forest showed up to help her in her mission to save the moon. They showed community and cooperation, right? And cooperation can do to help achieve our goals. So we have to always remember the importance of supporting others and accepting their support. when we look at Luna's journey, we can find three lights, uplifting lessons to carry our hearts this week. First, we see passion, then determination, and then devotion. Luna showed us what it means to be completely devoted despite the massive distance between her paws and the sky. She did not let obstacles deter her from her goal, right? Like Luna, we can learn to approach our goals with the exact same high, unencumbered devotion. You know, I said, let's clean out that room downstairs, get the garbage out of our youth room, and let's get some kids in it. And some of you said, well, how are we going to do that? We're just going to do it. Clean up the room, make room, and they'll show up. And guess what? They did. That's how, right? The author, Paulo Coelho, once wrote, when you want something, all the universe conspires to helping you to achieve it. When it's in your heart, body, mind, and soul, when you know without a doubt, it's not I want, it's knowing without a doubt that it can come to you, then the universe conspires in helping you. Because the universe always says what? Yes, exactly. The universe says yes. So don't want and keep wanting, because then the universe will keep you wanting. Once you know what you want, then you affirm it's already here. If you have the passion, mind, body, and soul to go with it. It's not like saying, please God, give me a loaf of bread and then wait for it to fall, because that doesn't happen unless you're under a tree where somebody threw their groceries, but otherwise it doesn't happen. So when we show then this true passion and determination in our daily lives, no matter how unattainable our moon may be, the universe takes notice. The universe takes notice for sure. Selflessness and service is the gift that Luna inwardly possessed. Luna showed a joyful willingness to sacrifice her own comfort for something much greater than her. She reminds us that true satisfaction does not come from hoarding energy, but from spreading it. You know, if we keep everything like this, what happens? Nothing can come in, right? But if we open up to acceptance, and we don't have to bring the little bowl and say, please, sir, can I have more? We go, I am willing and ready to accept all that universe has for me. And I know that which is my goal comes to me in the right divine time. So simple how prayer is, right? Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, taught realization precedes demonstration, and that's just what I'm talking at. First, you have to realize. First, you have to know. You have to be convinced of this which is possible. And the realization, realizing that you have the power to do that, precedes the demonstration or the manifestation. He reminds us that we must first fill the idea of love. We first must fill the idea of love and helpfulness in our minds before we can see the manifestation in the world around us. So by shifting our focus outward to the good of others, our small daily acts of service become effortless and light. So despite the dark clouds, Luna knew the power of faith. She firmly believed she could make a difference. Her faith gave her the physical strength to keep leaping. And Emilie Cady beautifully wrote in Lessons of Truth, desires in your heart for anything is God's sure promise sent beforehand to indicate that it's already yours. Because in my mind, and a part of this teaching too, is the minute an idea comes in, It's already in motion. We are given constant information from the Sacred One. How many ideas float through your minds and you go, no, can't I do that? And that we're dismissing, So desire in your heart for anything is already there. It's God's sure promise sent beforehand. So God is giving you these ideas. God is working for you, and you're not paying attention. So your job is to pay attention, right? Sent before you to indicate that it is already yours. Your desires to do good, to stay loyal, to lift up those around you is proof that you already have the strength to do it. So we can use our inner faith as a radiant source of strength to navigate through close times and achieve our goals. And finally, let's look at the community support. Let's look at the animals in the forest. They didn't just watch Luna's struggle. They built a ramp to lift her up. And that's what we do for each other. We build that which is needed, be it service, be it food, be it helping somebody fix their house, be it mowing a lawn for somebody. We build up. We build up what is needed. We build up within ourselves and with our neighbors, our friends. Look at the Amish people when they need to build a new barn. The women cook all day, and the men build the barn in one day, and then they all feast and have food. We can do that. But we don't need a barn, but whoever might need a barn, let us know, right? So what do, though? We support Habitat for Humanity. For $200, we can buy a window. There's all different prices. It's not like you have to give this big amount of money to build a house. They're smart enough now to say if you just donate X amount of dollars, you could build a wall or a door or a window. That's a great way to build a barn. It's just a different perspective of building that barn, right? So always remember the immense importance of supporting each other. I think right now more than anything in our history and our time, it's fine. It's the most important thing that we can be doing. It's just importantly being humble, lighthearted enough to accept support when we need a lift, right? When we master our own internal impulses, we hear something, we let it go right out. But what if it's the best idea you've ever heard in your life and you just let it go? We have to master our own internal impulses, base desires, and immediate reactions. We move from merely reacting to chaotic external world to actively, intentionally shaping it. That's where we go with it, right? Treating your neighbors with fundamental dignity. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. Treating your neighbors. That means the people around you, your family, your friends, your colleagues at work, your city, your state, your country, your world. Treating your neighbors with fundamental dignity. We successfully create a self-sustaining ecosystem of peace. So let's be like the forest animals this week. Let's build ramps of encouragement for one another. Let's keep our eyes on the bridge and the bright full moon and remember that no leap of faith is ever wasted. Thank you.